Hari Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Swami Jyotirmayananda Society, our journey to self-realization. Please subscribe our channel for the mystical meanings and to enjoy daily satsang. We are currently exploring the book Yoga Essays for Self-Improvement, authored by Swami Jyotirmayananda Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. Today we are picking up the topic of how to overcome hatred, a very profound chapter indeed. Nothing is more degrading for an aspirant than to keep his mind burdened with hatred. Hatred darkens the mirror of the mind, dissipates willpower, creates illusions, intensifies negative karmas, and leads one to manifold forms of misery. It is a disease of the astral body, and every effort must be directed towards its prevention as well as cure. It is the cause of many evils, and especially for spiritual aspirants, they don't grow effectively because they're trying to purify their hearts. And if they have hatred, there is a big muck of dirt right there that will take a while to clean. But we need to have patience, and like all other vices, it will take time. Raj Yoga speaks of the five kleshas, which are afflictions of the mind stuff, also known as chitta. Those are avidya or ignorance, asmita or egoism, raga, which is attachment, dvesha is hatred, and abhinivesha klesha is clinging to life for fear of death. In this plan, it is due to ignorance that the spirit identifies itself with the mind stuff, thereby giving rise to egoism. And as this sense of egoism is intensified, the mind begins to create impressions of attachment and hatred. That's because you think you are independent, different from everybody else. So I'm good, you're not. He's nice, he's bad. Attachment and hatred. So this comes as a byproduct of that behavior of thinking yourself as separate from others. But that's all, as we are learning, part of the cosmic illusion, and we all come with it. The challenge is to remove that layer of ignorance which will shed the proper light in the right perspective. Whenever an object is pleasant, the mind develops the will, may I enjoy the object again and again. The impressions of pleasure thus intensify attachment. And wherever there is any obstruction to the enjoyment of pleasure, or whenever any object gives rise to pain, one develops the will, I must remove this object. I must overcome it or destroy it. The impressions arising out of painful experiences thus go to intensify hatred. And as the mind continues to flow along these currents of raga and dvesha, attachment and hatred, it creates karmic involvements leading to repeated embodiments, because those actions have consequences, the actions we take of attachment and hatred. Thus, an embodied soul becomes so dependent upon the physical body that the very thought of death fills his mind with fear. Hatred is at its root of many evils and has many causes in society. So many problems come because of it. Even those who are highly educated suffer from this malady. Preachers of one religion hate those of other religions. People following a particular system of mysticism hate other systems that are followed by other people. Hatred arising out of racial discrimination also is well known. You are black, I am white, etc. So, hatred takes on many forms: petty mindedness, anger, jealousy, contempt, prejudice, sneering, taunting, ridiculing, mocking, showing wry faces, frowning, and others are all different expressions of hatred. So, what you're feeling inside? comes outside through your facial expressions. And hatred, if unchecked, leads to violence. That's what happens in mob mentality. There's this rage, anger, hatred, and all destruction occurs. So, then, how do you overcome hatred? Think of the evils of hatred. If you continue to hate any person or object, you will be filling the mind with impurity. This will render your intellect dull, and you will be unable to practice spiritual reflection on the self, which is an essential requirement on the spiritual path. Remember the words of Lord Jesus: Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father in heaven. Comes from Matthew 5, 43 to 45. So, all religions, whether Christianity or any religion, they all teach us good things. They all teach us to be compassionate, kind, loving. And yet, what do we do as human beings? More people have died in the name of religion than all other reasons combined. Is this what God wanted from us? Is this spirituality? If we really go deeper and think about it, it is embarrassing. Uh, we should be ashamed of that behavior actually, because lack of proper knowledge, in our stubborn ways we think this is the only way, this is the right way, and let me forcibly teach that person. That's not how spirituality should work. And thus we see there is so much anger, frustration, and not only that, the people themselves are misguided. Those who are forcing others are themselves misguided because they don't understand. They are not following the teachings that we just read from Jesus himself: treat thy neighbor like thyself, etc. Directing love and goodwill even towards those who are crude and inimical is indeed supernormal. So, nobody is saying it's easy. Being a spiritual aspirant is a lifelong journey. But unless one upholds this saintly ideal, he cannot rise beyond the normal level of human consciousness. Present before yourself the lofty idea of becoming a saint or a sage. Be in association with holy people, with satsanga, and you will be protected properly. Many times people hate others on the basis of some hidden complexes in their minds. Their hatred towards others has no rational basis. For example, a person may begin to hate another person simply because he reminds him of a bully in the past school days. It's not this person's fault that he looks like him, but now you, since it's creating those impressions, those bad memories, it's triggering hatred. This form of irrational hatred is very degrading for an aspirant. But even in cases where the mind seems to direct hatred on a rational basis, one must place before himself the ideal taught by sages and saints and by Buddha and Jesus, etc., and endeavor to develop goodwill and compassion even towards those who are bent upon harming you. Why? Because this world is a big hospital. Everybody has the self and God in it. Some are ignorant, some are not. Some are healthy, they are not inside the hospital, but the people inside the hospital are having some trouble or the other. Much in the same way, the people who are having hatred, that's also in a way a disease. Take recourse to pratipaksha bhavana, meaning opposite quality, adapting the mind to the positive qualities that are contrary to hatred and its ramifications. If you cultivate the qualities of love, understanding, patience, compassion, broad heartedness, disciplined speech and humility, you will be able to rid the mind of hatred. Slowly it will go away because you're filling yourself with good impressions. And when the mind has no place for hatred, it becomes filled with the luminosity of divine love. Such a mind is an inexhaustible source of joy, peace, harmony, and divine impressions. So, we will continue this journey in tomorrow's satsang and we will finish this chapter. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Hari Om Tat Sat.